welcome once again. Welcome to Professional Development Program. And we are going to have our second session today. And we welcome our resource person, Ms. Manju Verma. And as you know, that she has been a motivated educator for over 30 years of experience. At present, she's the head of the Department for Social Science at Amity International School, Sake. She's a postgraduate in political science and history and also master's in education. And she's a highly motivated educator, as I mentioned, and she has been very, very participative in all the Amity programs and initiatives. So we welcome you, ma'am. Over to Manju, ma'am.
Thank you, Deepika ma'am, for your kind words. Good morning again to everyone, to my very, very dear friends. So today, first of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our chairperson, ma'am, for providing a platform which help us to explore our true potential and be a vital part of the teaching learning process. I would also like to express my gratitude to Anita Satya ma'am, whose persistent efforts in providing us with training programs and resources empower us and help us emerge as leaders in the field of education. Also, I would like to thank Aarti ma'am for hosting and organizing these PTP sessions. Last but not the least, I would like to thank my very dear principal, Divya Bhatia ma'am, for motivating me in all my endeavors and providing constant support to have to hone my skills. I would also like to welcome on board all my friends who all are present here. Thank you so much. And I hope that we all are you are going to cooperate with me, and I expect a good interaction also during our entire session. Thank you all. Okay, ma'am. Now I can share my screen.
Right. Manju, ma'am, you're already a presenter, so you can begin.
Ma'am, now I'm sharing it now. Now, can you all see my screen slide, ma'am?
Yes, Manju ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So, ma'am, today my topic is on this connecting classroom teaching with the real world situation. So, I hope that all of us are all following the same this method. But yes, some over the time period we have to refresh our knowledge also sometimes. So this platform is there where we can refresh our knowledge. Now, um, first of all, I just want to ask you all one question. Now, that teachers, friends, how do your students perceive social science as a subject? I want to know your input here. How your
Extremely lengthy. Lot of syllabus, 4 components that they have to do, 4 books that they have to study from NCRT. So the very subject social science is very taxing and very stressing. A lot of stress that adds to them. Why? Because they have maybe they don't do it the way they do science and maths regularly, tuitions and practice and all those things. So that adds to that stress in the last.
Very true, Suchitra ma'am. Very true. Even I agree with this. Yes, ma'am. Anyone else?
So yes, I'm unable to recall the important points, unable to remember such a lengthy, notes and all that.
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Very
I'm very theoretical.
Very
yes.
good.
Very
Yeah,
theoretical. Describe the subject in one word as theoretical.
Yes.
yeah. I
Like,
believe.
ma'am, I'll tell you that they feel that there is a discrimination with other subjects. Like in pol science, they have to study both books for 5 marks map.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Other subjects they have predefined map unit which on the basis of which they are asked. So they feel that, although the subject is interesting, but it is not scoring as it should be. So that
Yeah.
process is difficult. So sometimes they feel, for it.
Yes, I totally agree with all your views because, yes, same here. Everywhere, in fact, across the country, I would say that most of the 99% children they feel at that, and even at class 10th, they think that, that social science should not be, we will be get rid of this social science. But now, in recent times, the CBSE also have taken, have many steps towards this to make it more interesting, and we as a teacher also here are contributing a lot in this that to make our teaching learning process more effective and more interesting. So teachers, so friends, here the reason we are here today is to understand in a better way that how we can connect social science with our real life so that it can be made interesting and relevant. Now, the why teachers should provide real life examples. Now, this is what we have to understand, that how important is this for we teachers. Now, let us remember school material when in our time when we used to study. Well, for me, it's mostly in bits and pieces. Okay, so why? So the most obvious reason for that is the fact that we don't use much of the stuff we have learned at school in our everyday life. The other thing is that most often we were taught to just listen, memorize, and repeat. The things that stuck for a longer period of time were those that had vivid relevance to real life. That's how our memory to works. We remember things we can correlate to. Today, I'm going to talk about the importance of providing those types of examples that can actually show how what's being taught can be applied in real life, as well as providing some of the ways to bring real world into our classroom. So what I have done, I have divided the entire session into mainly three parts. In the beginning, I'm going to discuss about the different techniques, what we can use it in the classroom situation by teaching the covering the curriculum in political science. And in the second part, we are going to take examples, that what examples can be relevant in learning these techniques. And in the third part, I'm going to discuss various examples related to our political science curriculum. So I hope that you all are going to also give your input here. So now, what makes concrete examples so valuable? What is the importance of actually these real life examples? Now, in our technology driven world where people have to be innovative, creative, oriented on problem solving, education plays a huge part since its purpose is to prepare students for life. Now, but it's not the same education we used to receive earlier. So, in informative age, education has not to just passively pass on knowledge, but to create active learners also. It has to help them develop explicit skills and give tools that students would know how to apply further so that they understand why what they are learning is useful and how it leads to them achieving their goals. Now, to maximize the learning experiences, the real world connections needed to be incorporated into the lesson plan. Previously and even now during the course and via lectures and textbooks, we oftentimes simply receive abstract ideas that can be vague and hard to grasp. And we rarely can make a concrete link between those ideas and specific life examples, which leads to us not fully seeing how to apply classroom lessons to the real world situations. Yes, it might require more resources, but that's what really moves. Now, the value of the subject has to be transparent. Why do we learn to learn this? How can we use it later on? if specifically there are the questions that students have to know the answers to. To put it all in perspective even more, real world examples demonstrate the complexity and unpredictability of real issues. They are highly engaging, stimulate critical thinking, and get students to think about solutions rather than just focus on the problems they can and most probably with face. Now, how to better incorporate real world into our course? Now, these are the different, you have to understand that there are different techniques what we can actually use it in the classroom situation. So one by one, I will take these techniques. Now, even though there is a popular belief that information is everything, we actually have it to also know to use and share that information. Luckily, these days we have so many resources, most of which are available due to the internet, that just need to choose what works for us and our class. So today I'll take some of the examples and techniques. Now, the first one is that how can we use the news and how it is going to be important for the classroom teaching. Now, news will always contain something we will connect to what we are teaching about. Engagement raises the moment we bring in current affairs into our classroom. Reading about the stories or situations that actually occurred helps students recognize the importance of what they are learning and its effect on the outside world. Now, find ways to use news stories to make connections between your curriculum and the real world. Now, here's some of the examples I can quote here, that some news outlets have recently done follow-up stories of India-China relations and India-Nepal relations, etc. There are many examples which hit in fast, actually. So reading about these news development between these countries can make great connections for students who might be reading topics that discuss issues on above mentioned topics. Now, these stories can help students recognize that the concepts they learn about in the classroom reading really do affect the outside world. Culturally relevant lessons are a great way to engage students. Now, friends, you must be using news clippings also at the time while teaching your topics. How do you think that your students are taking these using of this news clippings while understanding the topic? How do you think that children are interested in that or not? I just want to know your views.
Manju ma'am, can you repeat your question?
Yeah, I've just asked that, like, you or must be encouraging children, your students, to use news clippings while teaching in the classroom. So how do you think that how your children are reacting to that use of the newspaper in the classroom situation? Are they interested? Do they show an interest in following up or not?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
no, Deepika ma'am, please.
Yes,
It
ma'am.
looks as if I'm a very eager learner, continuously raising hand. I want to speak. Yeah. So in my class, ma'am, students have news and thought, and I'm sure that each one of you are doing that news also. And I make it mandatory. Like for example, if we are teaching them SARC, so I make it mandatory. Whatever new has happened, recent has happened, it should find its place in the answer. Similarly, for class 11th, like for example, elections, we are all taking that chapter. So there has been a change in that election commissioner. Similarly, United Nations, it was very much, was there in the news talking about India's permanent seat, non-permanent seat in the, in the current bracket. So all these things should be there in the answer, and I mark them on that. So it is mandatory that newspaper clips that I find important, I share it in my Pol Science group, and
Yes.
we have to put it, incorporate it in their answers also and project work.
Yes, Pragya ma'am, you were saying something, ma'am?
Yeah, ma'am. I also, follow the same, thing, and I always, incorporate some new, topics which are related to the topic which I am taking in the class. Like, for example, if it, I'm teaching UN in the class, so of course I will try to share the, current Secretary General of UN. Then if I am, talking about the executive, I always try to share the latest, all the new presidents and prime ministers. So this is how I try to tell the students that it is very important for you, because later on you have to, participate in the competitive exams where it
Yes.
will help you. So start doing this, because some of the
Okay.
students, they are, you're preparing for the CLAT, some of the students, they are preparing for the NIFT, and GK plays very important role, in
Very.
such type of exams. So I always tell the students that, students, look, it is very important for you. Please share your ideas. I will also share my ideas, and this is how we are going to learn more about the new current affairs.
Yes, ma'am. And even our subject is like that, that without news, you cannot think of, proceeding anywhere. Every topic is connected with your current affair. So unless and until you cannot update your knowledge, you cannot, even it is for everybody, not only political science students, it is for every citizen. I think that newspaper, news clippings, or role of whatever the, the stories, whatever is going on in the present day time, everybody should know that what is happening, and then it becomes very easy for us to relate it in the classroom. Okay, now the second technique what we can this mm, team, one second. Yes, the second technique, what we can use it in the classroom is the teamwork. Now, it's not new for you also, because they are working on the project. So this teamwork, mainly many professions require collaboration and working in a team. So students have to get used to achieving their goals by means of collaborative effort. Also, students, we had shared learning experiences have proven to preserve information for in longer and attain higher level thinking. Now, this teamwork, I also believe that this cooperative learning is very, very important and very effective also, because children learn from each other. If suppose in a team one child is not working, the other child sometimes motivates the other child, the team other team member to work in a better way, in an effective way. So I feel that it's not only for project work. I believe that it for every topic we can give them the chance to work in a team of, it can be two-member team, three-member team, where they can explore the topic and research on it and find new things about it. So it can this teamwork can be very, very important technique in relating the real real life situation in with our political science curriculum. Third technique is the role play, simulate a real world experiences. Now this is also one of the activities what we are doing it in our project world work also, that children are allowed to present their role play also in the classroom situation, where they can simulate that any figure also, any personality also, any situation also in the classroom, which can be very effectively understood by everyone. So this role play, this is a way of simulating real world experience, which can go a long way. Have students prepare and recreate a specific situation using an example that actually happened. Let them plan everything, find data, even dress their parts. It will certainly get them involved and excited. Simulation requires planning and preparation, but they can be extremely effective. Example is, if they are reading about the working of the legislature of India, they can start their own country in the class. What laws would they create? How would they govern their country? Once they have made their decisions, compare their process to what actually happened when the US was formed or when India got independence. So, all these topics are the part of class 12th curriculum or the class 11th curriculum. So they can very easily understand that how the entire system works, political system or any system works in the real life. Now the next technique is that 1 second, going slow. Yeah. Now the 1 second, thing has happened. My slide has. 1 second, teachers. There is some. Now ask the next technique. What we can use it, that we can ask our children to be the expert comment. They can give their expert comment. They can be a judge, and they can judge the work of others, and that way they can judge each other's work. So here present students in the class with the real life situations or problem and solutions to it, so that it can have evaluate as if they are the part and they are the expert on that subject or that topic, and it would they have taken the way the same approach to solving that problem. In what other ways the situation would have been resolved, how would they go about it? It will be a good opportunity for students to apply the obtained knowledge to real problem. So this is a good way in which we can involve our children in the ongoing classroom teaching, which is presently going in the classroom teaching, where we can ask any child to give their expert opinion, also can judge. And even if any other child is presenting any topic in the class, that all the other children can give their their opinion about it. Can anyone give any example here where children can be given a chance to be an expert? Can we discuss any one example here? Because it's, yes. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, sometimes when we are teaching them globalization, then when we ask them that what do you think are the negative and the positive aspects according to you, whatever you have understood or experienced. So at that time, children generally give their views and they are very vocal in critiquing or supporting globalization.
So we can tell them beforehand that so and so topic we are going to cover in the next class, so that they can research on that and they can give their expert comments also. They can judge the others presentation also, so that way we can involve our children in a better and in an effective manner. Now the next technique, what we can use it, which is a little different from usually what we do it, that is, it might be a little off the point, but also a good way to bring in real world examples into the class. Ask the students to find the examples which will correlate with the specific subject you are currently learning, and this would help them to work further in interdisciplinary aspect, which we can nowadays, everybody, we all are being encouraged to do interdisciplinary projects where one subject is related to the other subject. So that way we can give them a chance that yes, go and find out different various examples with which you can correlate with the present day present topic, what is going on in the classroom. So that would we can give them chance, and give them feel important that yes, they can do research and find out different examples relating to that particular subtopic. But for that we have to tell them beforehand that what topics are we going to cover in the classroom. Now the next technique, what we can use it in the class for this real life situation, is to use of tools. Now people have always been more visual creatures, and we like variety. So the best way to draw attention is to use different visualization tools: graphics, pictures, history of the project or a problem, data and software. They will help to engage students in learning more about the examples and their meaning. Now, this is, I'm going to take many examples after this. First, we are understanding what different techniques we can use. So these tools can be used, and which we all are using it, showing them, pictures, showing them pie datas, bar graphs, pie graphs. Their children are working on the projects also. So therefore that they are doing research. So, even documentaries are being shown in the classroom. That can be another tool, separate tool. So, that way we can use different tools in the classroom, which can be very effective at that moment when the teacher is teaching in the class. Then next tool, what we can use it is make assignments look real world. Now here teachers have to work in a little different way, as usually whatever assignments we all are giving. Other than that, if instead of having students write the same type of answers regularly, find some assignments that can use the format and structures they might use in in life. Like, we can give them a chance, how can they use our topics in future? Suppose they are joining any in a MNC or anywhere, how their knowledge, the present time knowledge, can help them in using it in that situation in future. So we have to give them chance in those topics which can be practically applicable in the life, other than the set textbook curriculum. We can go out of the box also, and we can make assignments on those topics, so that children can actually practice those knowledge in future. Like, for example, one of my student was sharing that in maths we study so many different types of questions, but we are not able to use it in the future. So what is the point? Ma'am, why are we learning these questions, these maths questions? So yes, to some extent they are not wrong, but yes, that is a fact that it is a part of our curriculum. We have to cover that. But yes, as at the same time, simultaneously, when we are doing the topics of our curriculum, we can think out of the box. And here our role, teachers' role, is very important, where we have to give them a chance and make assignments on that where children can use it in future also. So it doesn't hurt to vary it up once in a while, and it teaches students useful skills for later in life. Now the next tool is that showing documentaries. The most effective way to bring in the real world is to show it these documentaries, especially to show students something they couldn't possibly see in our local community. Natural documentaries or historical footage are two perfect examples. Now we should not limit to only to our curriculum topics only. We should give them interesting topics also, where we can show them in documentaries based on those topics, where children can be made aware, because our subject is like that we have to make children aware. They have to come out of the ignorance, knowledgeable, and that can only happen when we can give them chance to know about what is going on around their community also, within their community also. So it can be related to the topic of what you are teaching, but yes, there are other topics also. But yes, the environment and our heritage is the part of our history or political science. Children are we can show them documentaries. Now these documentaries are not the usual one what usually we show it related to our curriculum, but yes, these documentaries can be on other topics which are happening in our community. Okay, the next exam technique, what we can use it, that we can bring in celebrity judges or celebrity coaches. Now, reality TVs offer one useful idea for the classroom. Celebrity judges bring in professionals to help students evaluate or revise their work on a major assignment or project. This will take some effort on our part to recruit through enough judges, but it can have a tremendous payoff, especially with our students of class 11th and 12th. When a student realizes their mistakes might cause them in future, so they see their homework in a new light. So when the expert is giving their comments on those topics or whatever children have done their work, children, they understand where are they going wrong, and they get the chance to improve themselves. So sometimes it brings live, it makes the classroom lively. So these occasionally, it cannot be possible all the time, but yes, occasionally we can take this step also, use this technique also, where we can call any expert, any as a judge, where they can judge the students work. So this can be, children feel very motivated also when they have to present it in front of the outsiders. Now the next technique, what is I think is little it's interesting, as well as can be the part of our project also, that publish students work for the larger community. Now here today, sharing our work with the world has never been easier. Choose a topic that will interest your community. For example, terrorism, environment, security, planning, or another problem in your community, which can also be the part of your curriculum. Have students do the research and write up their findings, then determine how to publish the information. Now here the role of the teacher comes. We might create a class blog or digital portfolio which you control. The teacher has to control for the community to read. We might have students work together to create a handout or flyers that can be distributed in the community. Students then have the opportunity to receive feedback from the community on their findings, whether informally as they pass out the flyers, or through a formal feedback process that we can control. If students know their work will be shared beyond the school's borders, they have a new reason to work harder. So what I feel, that we all are doing this in our project work actually, but yes, we should give them chance also to go out of their borders, not during the school time I'm saying, but yes, in their other after the school also, during for doing such it's not only for project work, otherwise also, if their work can be brought into knowledge to the nearby areas also, that they feel very proud of themselves. So that gives them encouragement to do further research, further work. So that way we can use this technique sometimes, where as a teacher, if our role comes foremost, where we can share it, make them possible to publish their work. Even our Global Times newspaper also, we can use that platform also. So it's there's no harm that it should not always be writing a poem or a story. We can give this input also for that Global Times. So it children can be very happy when they will see their work to be shared by the outside people, school people also. So now the next technique is the case studies. Now this I will take it in the latter part also, but here just I'm mentioning it, that this can be a one technique. Now these case studies are good for describing, comparing, evaluating, and understanding different aspects of a research problem, or to understand any topic. Now when to do a case study? A case study is an appropriate research design when you want to gain concrete, contextual, in-depth knowledge about a specific real-world subject. It allows you to explore the key characteristics, meanings, and implications of the case, and also help in developing critical thinking towards the possible, solutions. Case studies are often a good choice in a thesis or a dissertation. They keep your project focused and manageable when you don't have the time or resources to do a large scale research. So I will take this case study in detail later. So first, these are few techniques what I just wanted to share it with you, that we teachers can use these techniques in making our classroom more interactive,
बेटा वहाँ नीच कर दो.
more interactive, and more lively, and it should not be teacher centered classroom teaching. It should be student centered, and where children should take over the job of this exchanging their knowledge to each other. So that will be very effective, and that is the reason, to some extent, we can make our children feel change their attitude towards this political science or history. And this platform, I positively believe in this, that now the perspective of children also are changing, because I have seen in few past years that the very very good children are opting for humanities, which earlier children were not able to do, were not interested in doing it. So all these techniques are actually helping us to make our subject more effective, more lively to the student. So the conclusion what I draw after going through all these techniques, uh, that is, tackling real world problems can make sustainability issues more tangible and meaningful to students. Real examples provide concrete applications to knowledge and skills and learned in the classroom as they relate to students themselves and society. Real examples also encourage students to be aware of the choices they make and how they fit into a greater societal context. Real world examples demonstrate the complexity and unpredictability of real issues and can stimulate critical thinking. They also highlight the need for an inter and multidisciplinary approach to problem solving. Now, whichever approach we try, incorporating the larger world in our classroom is guaranteed to be a memorable experience for us and for our students. So our ultimate agenda is to make the subject more interesting for the students, so that children can think at that point of time that they have not done a wrong decision, taken a wrong decision by opting for political science, because it is the most the most interesting subject which they found amongst all subjects. Now coming to the next part, that is, I'm going to take different examples here, that how can we connect the classroom teaching in with the real life situation. Now I'm just a minute, I am posting a link here. Teachers, please give your input. Before this, I want, just don't open this right now. First, let's see the slide, then only you can give the input. Now, this is the picture. I want to show it to you. Now, guessing, this is the guessing game. Now, identify what is being shown in the cartoon. Can you give an example of a similar situation in the recent time? So I want your input, your examples with the whatever is shown in this picture, similar to it, where you can give your own examples here. I have posted a link, ma'am. You all can, enter your input, and I'll share the screen here. The example of a similar situation in the recent times. I think everybody has seen the slide of that.
Manju ma'am, can you please, can I see it again?
Yes, yeah, sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Is this visible? Just a second, ma'am. Is this visible
Yes,
now, ma'am?
I can see it.
Okay. So I want your input now.
Ma'am, link is there in the chat window.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. It is there in the chat window.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
Now 40 words is the limit. So within 40 words, you have to give your input.
Anju ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
Pragya ma'am is unable to see the link, so kindly post it in the group also, ma'am.
Which group? WhatsApp.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, if possible, actually, ma'am, I'm unable to see the link. I don't know why.
So that doesn't matter, ma'am. Just give me a minute. It
Yeah,
will.
thanks a lot.
Just give me a minute. I have to open that WhatsApp. System has become slow. I have opened so many windows actually. It's not opening. Taking time.
Okay, okay, no problem, ma'am, no problem.
Now, ma'am, I'm trying it. I'm doing it. It has become. It will take time. One minute. Just ma'am, it's not opening actually.
Okay, no problem, Manju, ma'am. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Ma'am, no, don't say sorry, ma'am. Don't say sorry, please. I'll post it again in the chat box.
Okay, okay, okay.
It might open. Just give me a second. I'll post it again. Ma'am, I've posted it again. Can you see now?
No, ma'am. I think some technical glitch is there.
Okay.
Please carry on, ma'am. Just wait. Let me check.
Okay. Okay. So okay, I can see so many inputs here. Why it is overlapping? China's control on Pacific Ocean. Okay. Satellization of states. China creating now. Who has posted China's control on Pacific Ocean?
Ma'am, I have posted that.
Yes.
Mariam.
Can you okay, to give little explanation of this, ma'am? Can you?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, sometimes China tries to, have control over Pacific Ocean, and it stops ships coming from which are using Pacific Ocean from other countries. A lot of times, such examples come up where China tries to maintain its more control on Pacific.
Okay. So basically, here you mean to say that here China is dominating here.
Yes,
It's
ma'am. Like US, in the same way, like US used to dominate that ocean out there and stop Cuban ships from reaching Cuba. Similarly, China does the same over Pacific Ocean. There are a lot of islands also in Pacific, on which China tries to, dominate its role.
okay. Okay. So Myanmar coup, ma'am, impose sanctions.
Ma'am,
Who's
I did that.
this? Yes,
Can you
ma'am. Yes. Can you elaborate this, ma'am?
So here, we know that whatever has been happening in Myanmar is it's quite prominent, and USA is trying to topple the Aung San Suu Kyi's elected government, and in that response they had tried to put sanctions on 22 people, including the government officials of Myanmar. So this is what is continuous interference that we see of the superpowers in the Asian region and Southeast Asian region continuously.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Satellization of states. Satellization of states.
Ma'am, I gave that answer. I believe like China is onto creating satellites for itself. For example, the port of Hambantota in Sri Lanka, and one belt, one road initiative. So now it's trying to have satellite states for itself, which is going to benefit it economically and geopolitically.
Okay.
Just like there was satellization during the Cold War.
So environment of India, string of pearls, environment of India. Whose input is this?
Ma'am, that was again mine. It was Encirclement of India, the string of pearls theory through the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean.
It's overlapping. That is why it's not visible to me. Okay. Yes, ma'am. So can you little give an idea about this example?
Yes, ma'am. The encirclement.
Your voice, I can't hear your voice, ma'am. Your
Sorry,
voice
ma'am. I have really poor connectivity.
doesn't matter, ma'am. Doesn't matter. Okay.
Yes. Very poor connectivity here. I'm just going to switch off my camera so that I'm able to speak. Yes, ma'am. My idea was just about how China is exceeding its geopolitical influence in this region, and it's trying to counter India through encircling India through the various kinds of ports and various islands available in this region.
So my point is that whatever examples you all have given, Meenu ma'am, have you also written anything here? I because the names cannot be here.
Yes,
So
ma'am. In answer garden, we can't see the names, ma'am. There is some technical glitch, so I couldn't answer it. Hands.
it's okay, ma'am. So basically, our point is here to understand that that how these uh, different these examples are helping us to understand and relating it to the topic, that is Cuban Missile Crisis. Now that picture is actually about the Cuban Missile Crisis, where it explains. I will show you that picture again. You can see that how the US is trying to stop the missiles or the warships which were coming towards Cuba from Russia. So for relating to this, we can have these examples here. That is how in the recent times you must have seen how China India relation and how China Nepal relation has gone to some extent. So relations have had was seen in the world, where there was a time where with China that we were expecting war any moment. But yes, it was, they also understand what can be the repercussions of the next war if it will be happening in the world. It's not going to limit to one part or one region of the continent, but it can have a very bad effect on the rest part of the world also. So for this given situation, we can relate to the present day problems where India is facing the problem with China and Nepal from time to time. Here we can clearly understand that how, because of the international intervention, the crisis conditions have not escalated. Now, both sides of the country clearly understand the after effects of any kind of war if it happens. So no country wants actually to get into any kind of war. Now, this is very, very important. Here we have, this is a very burning topic nowadays, that every second day we find something or the other related to China. So we can discuss these, clippings, newspaper clippings, and the stories which are going on in nowadays in the recent times with our children, that how it is important. And this way we can give them a chance to find out different examples, that how can they relate. We can show them one example and can ask them how can they relate with the other topics also. So that way it can be one example by which we can make this real world into our classroom. Okay, now the next is this.
Can I interrupt?
Yes,
As
ma'am.
She has said that we have a lot of news coming in from China. I would like to share here from the 1st of July. Today is the 3rd. For the last 3 days, we have a lot of news this thing on China, and which I have shared with my children on Teams. The three builders of modern China, that was the first news piece or Times of India reported on the 1st of July. Then we had 1st of July again, 100 years on how Communist Party has been dominating China. And now I think day before yesterday it was there again, how China is trying to control the global bodies like the UN and the WHO. So three newspaper clippings that I have shared with my children, and that is all related to China. So because in case we have some reference material coming with latest this thing, so at least the children should know this has already been reported.
Yeah. So we find every second day there is something related to China. With few days back, 2-3 days back only, I was just going through one of the article where very recent article. It was written that how again China has moved towards the borders that in the Xichen area. So it's any moment you cannot predict China at any point of time. So international intervention is very, very important here. Sometimes now it neutralizes the situation, tries to bring down so that further it should not get violent or should not affect the entire world. Now the time has come where it is not going to affect one country, it is going to affect the entire globe now. So no country wants to get into that situation. So there are a number of examples, actually. I will take one or two more after this, but there are a number of examples where we can see that international intervention has brought the situation, down. Okay, now this second example is of Indian Constitution when we talk about fundamental rights, values of our country, or fundamental duties. Can you give one example here that where we can say that nowadays in the recent times these fundamental rights are being in news, or it's going on nowadays very, very uh, every person now has started thinking about their fundamental rights. What has made that? Now I want you to give your input here. When recently,
like ma'am, during the time of pandemic, the curfews are there, so now we have understood the importance of freedom. Yeah, that now it is, we are not allowed to move after 10 or after 8 o'clock. So we have understood the importance of freedom, that yes, of course, earlier we used to, we can move anywhere without any restriction, but now we have to follow some rules and regulations. So we always try to tell the students, yes, of course we have some fundamental rights, but with this there are some restrictions. This is how we try to teach our students with the help of examples, the current examples. Yes, ma'am.
And ma'am, apart from, as Pragya ma'am said, restrictions, and that has taught us how to, value the right to freedom. Apart from that, we also have something called as, it's not a fundamental right, but yes, it's an inalienable right to life. And that is why the vaccination drive by the government they have been working on it. Initially, when we had no vaccination drive shuru kari gayi thi, Tika Utsav and whatever they had started, but there were no vaccinations. And that is why now they've made it free. And everybody, why? Because everybody has a right to life. If the Supreme Court asking the state governments to implement it and get everybody vaccinated, full vaccination drive going on, that is why.
Yes. So basically, is there any other example anybody else wants to give here? Anyone? Yes, ma'am. Yes, Deepika ma'am.
Had a discussion in our class where the students wanted to find out what is going to be the status of the children who lost both their parents.
Yes.
Like that, where we discussed about the right of a child. It is very, very important. It needs to be in place. In fact, it should be made into a policy, a directive principle, because many children, have lost their parents, both parents. So we require, some kind of right, some kind of directive principle in place for them too.
Yes, they should be ensured their safety, their security, in the society. It's required now. This is a need of the hour now, that it is required in the present day time that government should now should realize and should work on these lines.
Right.
Ma'am, and that is why they have started with something called as the PM's fund, also
PM,
taking care
yes,
of
yes.
children who have lost set of parent or both parents. 2,000 children have lost one set of parents in Delhi itself, statistical data says, and more than 565 children have lost both set of parents. So the PM's fund there is also funding education till the time they don't start earning.
Yes.
That is one initiative by the government also.
Can
Yeah.
lead to threats like children trafficking. It can lead to child abuse. It can lead to trafficking. So we the government have they are supposed to take the initiatives at like very urgent. I mean, it is required because it can lead to many disastrous thing in future if this is not taken care of at present.
Yes, yes, it is, as I said, it is a need of the hour now. It has to be given importance now in the present day time. So when we discuss about fundamental rights, now it comes in my mind is this section 144, which is nowadays in news in recent times, that how we can't forget to discuss about this section 144, which has, which was one section in the news in recent times. This section 144 of the Criminal Procedure Code, CRPC, of 1973, authorizes the magistrate of any state to issue an order to prohibit the assembly of 4 or more people in an area. And recently in Bombay, it has been imposed this section on 144 on September 17, 2020, during this Corona time. On March 23rd, Delhi government imposed section 144 to stop the spread of coronavirus, a measure to tackle the this emergency, health emergency, which has been declared in the country. So earlier, many times in Kashmir also, this section 144 was imposed to control the militant activities. So this section 144 we can explain in detail to our children in both 11th and 12th, how important it has become, and we have to understand the importance of this section 144. And by this way, people have started thinking of the importance of their fundamental rights. Okay. Sorry, I'm stopping it here, ma'am. Deepika, ma'am, there is a message that our IT in charge, Mr. Mrityunjay, is not able to enter into the meeting. Ma'am, Deepika, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. What should
Please
I, ma'am?
add him.
Just tell.
Mr.
Give me his
Mrityunjay, Mrityun. He's an IT in charge.
Mrityunjay Pratap Singh.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know his surname, but we call him Mrityunjay.
See, there are many Mrityunjay coming. Either you give me his entire ID, so I'll make him join, or you share the link that I shared with you on WhatsApp.
Ma'am, right now it is going to waste the time. He is messaging me that I am not able to enter, whether you are recording or not. So ma'am, you are recording the session now, ma'am?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Then it's okay. He should know about it. Okay, so let's come to the next one. That is now here I want to share again a link with you. Just give me a second, ma'am. Just give me a second. Now you all can see the picture here. So I'm going to ask you one question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I'm going to ask you one question. Just give me a minute. It's opening. So many windows I have opened. The net has become slow. I'm close. Ma'am, can you see in chat box?
Yes, ma'am.
I have posted a link. Is that link now? Can you see that link, ma'am?
Ma'am, the link is there in the chat.
Yes, ma'am. That's a Padlet.
Padlet, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Now I want your input here. You all have seen the picture, which I have shown it to you. Okay. So separation of powers, 3 branches of government. Okay. Now I want your input here in this tool, where I will share the now. You can give your input now here, ma'am. In this, do you think transition of powers between these 3 branches is smooth? Related to this, please give one example. And please mention your name also. It would be.
In the meantime, Manju ma'am, can you please forward me the number of your IT in charge so I will speak to him?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am, I'm doing it. Please just give me a minute, ma'am. Have you got his number, ma'am? I have sent it to you.
Okay, I will just check.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so Meenu ma'am has written separation of power. Just it's overlapping. Separation of powers in India keeps a check and balance on each other, as during COVID times we have seen judiciary active role to check the pandemic crisis. Yes, very true. While the powers have been stated in the constitution, yet as fusion of power and system of checks and balance are features of parliamentary system, there have been conflicts between different organs of government. Astha ma'am has written. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you can give example also. We know that there is a check and balance, but yes, an example can be given here, which we can share it amongst ourselves.
Ma'am, can I speak instead of writing, because there's some problem? I'm not able to write. I have opened the Padlet.
Ma'am, please do it. It's
One
most
example that we can always share, because when we talk about COVID times, I mean, something that is on our minds right now is
Yes.
that the governments have been constantly being checked, and the Supreme Court or the High Court, whatever, the judiciary acting as a police. So a lot of policing that they have to do in order to check scams and health infrastructure so that everything is in place before we get the third wave or the Delta, whatever the variant that we're about to hit now. So a lot of policing that the judiciary is doing nowadays when it comes to state governments. Also, the central government being questioned constantly about what about their preparedness also in times of COVID and all those things. So they have, as rightly said, that for them there is loads of work now for the judiciary, because the
Yes.
government, which maybe is not doing, it's taking its responsibility seriously. So that transition, if you talk about three branches, is not balanced, is not very smooth.
Yeah. So there can be various examples, as Meenu ma'am has said, for the same as the check and balance during the COVID time. Even Asta ma'am has also mentioned that also. So basically, it's not only we cannot not restrict our answer only to one or two. There are number of instances where we can say
Like,
that the
yes, ma'am, like appointment of the judges also during the time of like
yeah,
appointments. There are also, there is a like tussle between the executive and judiciary sometimes.
very
Ma'am, I had written, I think it's not visible about
Mine
PIL,
was,
that
mine
when
was.
during PIL also,
Hmm.
during executive and judiciary overlap and it gets, the lines get blurred a bit at times.
okay. I can't see that, ma'am. That's not there. It's okay, ma'am. You can share it. Otherwise, you had just said about PIL. No? You can
Yes,
elaborate.
ma'am. I've written. Ma'am, like sometimes when it talks about, when we talk about PIL, we see that the lines get blur between judiciary and executive, and that's where sometimes the problem is there, and it's also overburdening the judiciary. So these are the times when this transition gets a bit blurred.
Blurred. Yes, I totally agree with you all. Now, what one example I have, I want to share it with you is that sometimes what happens that there are differences in the between the center and the Delhi government. For example, the state government. Now, where the both the parties are, same at the center and the state, then the problem is you can't see any kind of conflict or problem goes on. But whenever it is a time when there are different political parties takes the power at the center or in the state, the differences starts coming up. And this is one example where that when this verdict was given by the Supreme Court, the LG's power was interpreted in different way by the center and by the state government. And there are number of examples what are going on nowadays also, where these both the parties, both the government center and the Delhi government, both are criticizing each other, blaming each other. So here also that transition of the power also is not that very smooth here. These instances, sometimes the verdicts which are being given by the Supreme Court also are being interpreted according to their own convenience. So these are few examples nowadays which are going on, in the present day time, can be discussed in the class. Now this is another example which shows this cartoon. What comes in your mind when we see this cartoon? I want one word answer. I want one word answer here. What comes in your mind when we see this cartoon? A very simple thing we can all.
Colonialism, neo-colonialism, colonialism is what, I mean, what I can see, interpret, if
Okay. Yes. And what about others?
US
Yes.
hegemony, something like that.
US
Yes.
education. Also,
US hegemony. US
Yeah.
hegemony.
This
US.
is US hegemony. This is very, very important. US hegemony is very important here to understand that how US, this is Uncle Sam, you can see how he's standing on the globe. Now this example we can give here of the timeline of the 6-day war between Israel and the Middle East countries. For 6 days it had gone, and where the entire war was the US did the surveillance for Israel in the Six-Day War. During this war, Israel had won over these Egypt and other Jordan area, but yes, the entire control in a way was within the it was in the hands of US only. So at that time there were also examples we can relate when there was a president in that time in Israel who had forged for the weapons also. What he did something wrong and had bought weapons from US, giving fake information, and basically his intention was to provide more of weapons to Israel at that time. So there are a number of stories related to this, controversies related to this Six-Day War, which is one example. You can see the map, also compare both the maps where Israel before the Six-Day War and after the Six-Day War, how it had expanded in the area, total area, where it had expanded towards Egypt in the southern area, as well as in the Golan Heights also it had control. So this is one example where we can give it to and Israel is in news nowadays. You know that very well, that the 15 days back only there was a attack on Israel, and then by the Palestinians, and then attack from Israel side also was there. So much of destruction, demolition was done at that time. So that is what we can discuss it with our children related to our topic, US hegemony. Now there are a few more examples where we can see to understand our topics, political science topics in class 11th and 12th. One topic is about actually it is all about the Sri Lanka. Now we all are explaining Sri Lanka to our children, and they have some idea because they have studied this Sri Lanka crisis, civil war in Sri Lanka in class 10th also. So we can explain them this Sri Lanka problem by explaining, giving this idea about that how because of this crisis which had occurred when India had sent the peacekeeping force, how it was not welcomed by the Sri Lankan government. So we can show them that movie on Madras Cafe. I think all of you must have watched that movie, Madras Cafe. So it's all about Sri Lanka only. So here you can show this pictorial representation of how the entire assassination planning and this Rajiv Gandhi's assassination was planned and executed. How by this pictorial pictures presentation we can relate that what were the reasons of the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi in our country at that time. We can relate it and show them the story so that they can get to know. Even this topic is also mentioned in very brief in our last chapter in recent developments, Rajiv Gandhi's assassination. So, but we can correlate both the topics here by showing these pictorial presentation to our children and explain them that how that in the Sri Lankan government had seen in that it was in India's interference in their internal matters, and how this LTT had planned everything for the assassination of our Rajiv Gandhi. So there is another very interesting series which you must have watched, that is Family Man season 2. So it is all about the Sri Lankan crisis, that it is all shown, our Madras Cafe movie of John Abraham. The entire movie is all about this only. So we can tell our children to watch these series, or can understand, because that can help them to understand that in a better way what were the problems going on between the Sri Lankan government and the Indian government at that time, and how this IPKF was sent by India through UN and to Sri Lanka, but later on they have to call them back. So they have made Tamil Nadu as the base center to create such problems. So this is one example what we can show it to our children and discuss about the topic. Now, the second example is, very important to make our children, understand, because they have not seen the time period of emergency. So it is the custodian death of P. Rajan, a very sad story about that student of engineering college, how he was tortured in the, in the custody of police, and he was so much tortured that he died because of that torture. And even the parents didn't know about it. The case was not filed in the court. No trial had undergone. So, this is very, very important here to understand that how important is fundamental rights for us, which were suspended during the emergency period. How during emergency period, all these fundamental rights were suspended. So children can think of the importance of fundamental rights in their life. By giving these examples, we can make them understand. Now, so that in a petition in the High Court of Kerala, he was held in police custody and tortured as part of the interrogation, and he died from torture of extreme kind, especially due to something called urutal, a practice of rolling a heavy wooden log on over the body of that victim. So it was an inhuman thing what was done to him, and he died because of that. So, even the parents didn't know about that, where his son, their son, father had written a book also about the life. And this is the man, who was responsible for the death of police inspector, who was responsible for the death of that student. So the petition and subsequent investigations found that Rajan had indeed been taken into custody and perhaps died when in police custody. The accused included the chief, the crime branch, Kerala Police, DIG Jairam Padikal. So, these actual incidences can be discussed in the classroom, giving them, though this is as such is not in the syllabus, but yes, they can make more interesting. Those topics can be made more interesting at the time when we will discuss these, issues and stories with them. And the father warrior had written a book about the memories of a father narrating his fights, how he fought for his son, custodial death, but nothing happened because of that. After so long, that case was filed, but nothing happened. No outcome was there. So it is showing the importance of fundamental rights to each and every citizen of the country. Now, the next example case study, we can take it off this very important Haider Ansari and Jaya Kali and Hita Kali Dangi case, which is all about that Nepal, when Nepal was protesting for, for democracy at that time. They wanted democracy to be established at that time. How Maoists and how the police had tortured the common people, and especially the women, how they were raped. They were, there was so much of ill treatment done to the people. This is a very famous story in Nepal, which explains that how the people had faced so much of torture during the protest movement time, when there was so much of protest was going on in Nepal before 2006, when the finally democracy was established. So people were very unhappy at that time. So this is a very famous case of Jayakali, Hitakali, and how the violence faced by the rural women in Nepal during the wartime. So both Maoists and the police force often sexually abused and killed women. None of these cases were ever concerned as the victims were missing, and there were no official investigations or reports filed for them. So it's very sad, but yes, children have to understand that actually this happened, how people have fought, and they have to understand the importance of democracy for themselves. They should feel that importance, and that feel should be there, should come in their heart also, that how they are living a peaceful life in India as compared to those countries where the democracy is not there. Now, another example we can take in the that chapter where so many new topics have been added, where the new centers of power, where we can, it's not only Israel, India, Russia, there are other countries also, which the world is seeing that in near future, they are going to be a superpowers. So Brazil is one of them whose economy is growing steadily and expected to reach the 5th position by 2050. So Brazil is one of the can be one of the powerful country in near future. Then Russia has is a powerful country and it's growing, and its relation with the other countries are also changing. Earlier, the US and Russia was not having that good relation, but now at this point of time, they are working together now on many issues. So Russia is also very, very important, which cannot be missed here. This can one example can be given. Then another, India-Brazil relation can be discussed here. That how Indian, they have signed so many, agreements, Brazil and India. So all these, upcoming events, whatever is going on in the recent times, can add to the knowledge of our children, because this is the topic what we are covering in the new centers of power. That how Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro attended India's 71st Republic Day and target of USD 15 trillion bilateral trade by 2002, starting a visa-free travel between India and Brazil. Third International Congress Ayurveda was held in Rio de Janeiro. So all these steps are being taken by India, so that India should also come up as a powerful country in the present day time. Then we cannot miss India and Russia's relation, because here we should know about that how Russia had always helped India for their arms ammunition, or had supported membership in for this NSG also. Now NSG, one second. This is a very one, I missed one slide. Now this NSG is for the nuclear, superior non-proliferation of nuclear weapons, controlling transfer of nuclear energy. So to become the member of this NSG, Russia is giving full support to India, so that India should also be the part of this NSG. Then we can also mention about India and Japan relations. Very important, a very sound relation we share with each other, and they have created their relationship to SSGP. Now this SSGP means Special Strategic and Global Partnership. This is very, very important. And 2019, region, they had actually signed a treaty for maintaining peace and giving security in that region. So SSGP was signed between both the countries have signed. Then economic goals, IJPDP. IJDP is the India and Japan digital partnership. So they are working towards that also. Then India and Japan had CEPA in August 2011. It covers all kinds of trade related issues. So CEPA is Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement between India and Japan. As well as they have done, together the military, activities also, bilateral exercise, maritime bilateral exercise, JIMEX, India Japan maritime bilateral exercise in Indian Ocean. So all these things can be brought into discussion at the time of when we can discuss about the upcoming new centers of power. Now another one is the latest one, what I would say last year only, the final decision verdict has been given on this Babri Masjid demolition case. So here we can give them the timeline about this Babri Masjid case. One second. So we can discuss about the Libraham Commission also, that how one-man commission had given the verdict, and it was such a long war fought for the control of that area, and finally, Supreme Court had given the verdict last year, and it had now decided, and that crisis condition has now totally finished now. Now it is peace now in our country, and the foundation has been laid, and it has been declared that that area is actually, where the Hindu temple was there, present. Now these pictures can also be shared with their children. Then finally we can discuss about that how Babri Masjid and subsequent killings continue to haunt India. The demolition of the masjid was a huge threat to the secular fabric of our constitution. So everywhere we can give this example where we can discuss various aspects of where, it was very, very difficult for the court also to take the decision on this issue, because it was a issue which was related for based on different communities. So if a wrong verdict could have given a given rise to communal violence in the country. So finally, whatever the verdict had come, it was accepted, and 2019 verdict with open arms by everyone. So this is what different examples, case studies are there, which we can discuss it with our children, so that it can become more interesting for the children as well as for us also. We are also learning at that every stage. It's not that we are perfect. We are also learning by if we'll update our knowledge by keeping a track of what had happened earlier or what is going on. So we also are updating ourselves. So it's good for our personality also, for both children, as well as it's benefiting both children as well as students also. And it is making us live situation in the class. So we have to actually work on these lines only, and that is how children in the present day time are finding political science interesting. At least my children, I have heard that they always now say that, yes, ma'am, humanities is better than other stream. So there must be some reason that they are getting feedback from their seniors also, that yes, it is no more totally cramming up or just learning 8 pages lines, 7 pages answers, but I used to do it in my college time when I did my postgrad. 8 pages answers we used to write, but now it is very, very important now for everyone, and to know this, and children are also happy with this, that now they have to give their answers in limited words. So it is now no more has become boring subject now. So all these techniques can bring the classroom very interesting, teaching learning process very interesting, very effective, both ways, for the teachers as well as for the students. So because we study political science, I am a better citizen, well informed, sensitive to society, and interconnected global citizen. So we all are a good citizen. We are a good citizen. So by this note, I'm ending my presentation. So thank you to everyone for patiently listening to me and giving you very good input also, some of the examples what we shared. Thank you everyone. Deepika ma'am for hosting this entire session. Thank you so much, Asta ma'am, Mariam ma'am, Meenu ma'am, Neha ma'am, Pragya ma'am, Suchitra ma'am, for giving your input. I'm so happy. So in very short time, I have prepared this. So
thank you again, Manju ma'am, for putting all this up for us. And it was really, I must say that it was such a wonderfully evocative session that, it is going to help all of us, and the way it was presented, that made it all the, much better for us to grasp also. And I thank you once again. And teachers, I thank you also for joining this PDP on behalf of Amity 46. I thank you all. And a humble reminder, a feedback link for both the sessions are shared in the chat window, and it is mandatory for all of us to fill those forms, feedback forms. Okay. And also the link for international relations to join at 1 o'clock has been shared again in the chat window. Please don't hesitate to share it with your social science team from 6th to 10th and 11th and 12th, as people are there.
Yes, we have done it, ma'am. We have all, I believe, Meenu ma'am, everybody has given that message also.
Right.
Everybody done it, ma'am.
Right. Thank you so much.